Luke Hartley, one of 4 Romsey brothers with a rare genetic condition, has gone into hospital for a second bone marrow transplant. Now, the first one, which was back in May, failed because the donor cells didn't take. Well, Luke arrived at Great Ormond Street Hospital in London this morning with his mum and dad. Our health correspondent David Fenton was there to meet them, and he's with me now. It's a big day, isn't it? Full of emotion, I would think, for all of them.
Well, it was, Sally, and of course they knew this was going to happen when the first transplant failed, so they'd had time to prepare for it. But remember, they've been through this 3 times before, of course, with all of Luke's brothers. But I have to say they were pretty upbeat when they arrived at the hospital this morning, and of course very pleased to have been able to find this all-important new donor.
I mean, amazingly, this person came literally out of the blue from us. We weren't expecting this donor. We had a donor that they'd identified a donor, but unfortunately, for some reason, that donor refused to donate. And then, kind of almost, 2 weeks later to the day, phone call to say they found a donor. The donor's a good enough match to go, and they're happy to go ahead with the transplant, which is fantastic.
So this is the second time. What went wrong the first time?
Well, the problem was that Luke's first transplant, his brother Nathan was the donor, and what the doctors were saying was that actually Nathan's cells were too close a match, too perfect. I think you can see some pictures actually of the transplant happening here. This was filmed by David Hartley. So too close a match, those cells didn't take, and it basically didn't give him the new immune system that he needed, and of course that meant a very difficult few months for the family.
It's obviously been hard. We hoped last time that was going to be the end of the final chapter for us, but it now means that we've got to go through it again. But we have been through it, and we've, all the boys have come out of it well, and so, we're very hopeful that this will be the same result for Luke.
And of course the good news is that Luke's brothers are all doing very well since their transplants, and they're all promising to go over to the hospital and visit him when he's had his in the next week or so.
We'll of course keep our fingers crossed for Luke and the whole family, and we'll keep you abreast of what happens on that story. David, thanks very much for that. Now, the leading international chef, Hartley, one of 4 Romsey brothers with a rare genetic condition, has undergone a second bone marrow transplant. 7-year-old Luke is the last of the boys to undergo the procedure. Similar transplant earlier this year was unsuccessful. The 4 brothers all have XLP, a potentially fatal condition that affects the immune system. A bone marrow transplant is the only cure.
Can you feel it going in?
We'll keep you in touch with how he gets on. Now, the Royal Navy Patrol